This goalie may look like he was broken and beaten, but it's not what you think. Because even though Terry Sawchuk's body was falling apart, he still became the most feared and respected goalie in hockey history. He had more than 400 stitches in his face, permanent damage to his back and shoulders, an injury so painful that most players would have quit years earlier. But Terry kept playing. He didn't wear a mask for most of his career. He didn't complain. He didn't ask for sympathy. He just kept going, saving pucks, winning games, and proving that toughness isn't about size or strength, it's about heart. He stood in front of frozen rubber pucks flying at 100 miles an hour. He did it with broken bones.
Hall of Famer and Vezina Trophy winner Terry Sawchuk partnered with Johnny Bower as the Leafs dynasty of the 60s came to a close.
He did it when his knees were gone, and every time people thought he was done, he came back even harder. This is the story of the man who gave everything to the game, his body, his health, even his peace of mind. And still, no one could outplay him. If stories like this hit you deep, if you believe that real greatness comes from sacrifice, not spotlight, then don't let this journey stop here. Hit that like button to honor a legend who gave everything to the game, and subscribe so you never miss the untold stories of warriors like Terry Sawchuk. These aren't just hockey tales. They're reminders of what it means to never give up, no matter the pain. If Terry Sawchuk didn't learn how to survive the pain, the pressure, and the punishment, his story would have ended in silence. No records, no trophies, just another name lost in hockey's history books. His body started breaking down early. He had a bent right arm that never straightened properly because of a childhood injury. His back gave him trouble for most of his career. His legs were covered in bruises. His face was torn apart by pucks, and his hands shook from the nerve damage. Every year, there was something new, a fresh wound, a deeper pain, and yet, he never let it stop him. Most goalies would have taken time off. Some would have retired, but Terry kept going, because he knew the truth. If he slowed down, even for a second, the league would move on without him. Another younger goalie would take his spot, and he'd be forgotten. That's how the NHL worked. You had to fight to stay in it, even if it meant playing through injuries that made walking hard, let alone skating. The stakes were never just about winning games. It was about proving that he belonged, that his pain wasn't pointless, that all the broken bones and bloody cuts still meant something. Hockey was all he had, and every time he stepped on the ice, it wasn't just another game, it was a battle to keep his place in the world. Terry Sawchuk was born in Winnipeg, Canada in 1929. His family didn't have much. They lived in a small house with a lot of love but very little money. Life was simple and sometimes hard. Terry was a quiet kid, shy, serious, always watching more than talking. But from a young age, he had something that made him different, a deep hunger to prove himself. A little while after discovering hockey, Terry got his first shot at playing goalie. The regular netminder on his neighborhood team couldn't play one day, and someone handed Terry the pads. It wasn't planned, it just happened. But the moment he stepped into the net, something clicked. He wasn't big, he wasn't loud, but he was calm, fast, and fearless. He moved like he belonged there. From that day on, Terry was hooked. He played every chance he got, using old worn-out gear and practicing in freezing backyards. Hockey wasn't just a game for him anymore. It was an escape, a way to deal with pain, a way to feel alive. And slowly, people started to notice. The quiet kid from Winnipeg had something special. Terry's rise through hockey wasn't slow, it was a rocket. After showing serious talent in the junior leagues, he got shot with the Detroit Red Wings minor league team. And right away, he proved he wasn't just good, he was something different. His reactions were lightning fast. He didn't flinch when the puck came flying. And no matter how tough the game got, Terry stayed locked in, calm, focused, almost cold. In 1949, the Red Wings were hit with a surprise. Their main goalie, Harry Lumley, was traded, and suddenly, the team needed someone, fast. Terry was just 20 years old, no real NHL experience, but Detroit gave him a shot. And what he did next shocked the entire league. In his second NHL season, Terry didn't just hold his ground, he dominated. He had 44 wins. He led the league in shutouts. And the Red Wings won the Stanley Cup. The 20-year-old kid, fresh from the minors, was now the wall that no one could break through. Sports writers called him a phenom. Coaches couldn't believe what they were seeing. Players who tried to score on him left the ice shaking their heads. But it wasn't just natural talent. Terry worked harder than anyone. He trained until his body ached. He studied shooters. He watched every move, every angle. He played through pain without saying a word. That quiet fire he carried pushed him every single night. By the time his second season started, Terry wasn't just a rising star. He was already a legend in the making. The fans in Detroit loved him. His teammates trusted him. And opponents feared him. Nobody expected the shy kid from Winnipeg to take over the NHL so quickly. But Terry Sawchuk was just getting started. Terry Sawchuk was winning, but it was costing him everything. In those early NHL days, goalies didn't wear masks. Not because they didn't want to, because it wasn't normal yet. And Terry followed the same rule. Every puck that hit his face left a mark. Every hard shot took a piece of him. Over the years, Terry took more than 400 stitches to his face. His nose was broken, his cheekbones were cracked, he lost teeth. But he never asked to sit out. He just wiped the blood away and kept playing. But it wasn't just his face. His back started giving out. His knees were swollen. He had pain in his shoulders and elbows. There were nights he couldn't sleep, mornings he couldn't walk straight. Still, he got on the ice. Still, he stopped pucks like nothing was wrong. The fans cheered louder every time he made an impossible save. His numbers stayed strong. He was still one of the best in the league. Shutouts, wins, big game performances. On the outside, he was a warrior, but inside, he was falling apart. He hid his pain from reporters, from coaches, even from his family, because to Terry, showing weakness meant risking everything. He knew how fast teams moved on. If he admitted he was hurting, another goalie could take his place. So he stayed silent. He battled through every bruise and every break. It wasn't brave, it was necessary. And the scariest part, no one really noticed. People saw the saves, not the suffering. He was praised for being tough, for never flinching, but behind the mask he finally started wearing, behind all the noise and praise, was a man whose body was giving out, but who refused to quit. Terry Sawchuk wasn't just playing hockey, he was surviving it. While Terry Sawchuk was stopping pucks on the ice, he was breaking down in silence off it. To the outside world, he looked like a hero, a fearless goalie, a champion. But when the games were over and the crowd went home, Terry was left alone with pain that had nothing to do with hockey. He battled depression, but in those days, nobody talked about mental health, especially not in sports. You were expected to be tough, to deal with it, to keep moving, and that's exactly what he did, until it became too much. Terry turned to alcohol to cope. It started slowly, like it does for many people. But over time, it became a habit and then a problem. He drank to numb the physical pain. He drank to escape the pressure. He drank to silence the memories of injuries, the pressure to perform, and the sadness he never spoke about. He grew distant from those around him. Friends noticed he was more closed off. His marriage became strained. He had trouble trusting people, opening up, or even just finding peace. The same man who stood like a rock in front of a hockey net felt small and lost when he was alone. He had fame. He had awards, but happiness? That was harder to find. The league never asked what was really going on. As long as he kept winning, they let him suffer in the background. And Terry never asked for help. He didn't think he could. In a world that only saw toughness as strength, Terry chose silence over showing weakness. Behind every great save, there was a man breaking down. And as his career went on, that quiet suffering only grew heavier. Terry Sawchuk wasn't just battling opponents, he was battling himself. And that was the hardest fight of all. In his later years, most people thought Terry Sawchuk was finished. He was older now, slower. His body had taken too much. Coaches and managers started to look at him differently. He was no longer the shining young star. They saw him as a backup, a veteran just hanging on. He was traded more than once, moved around from team to team, and with every trade the message was clear. You're not what you used to be. But Terry didn't let that define him. He used every doubt as fuel. Every time a team gave up on him, he showed up somewhere else and proved them wrong. He wasn't just playing for the glory anymore. He was playing to remind people that greatness doesn't disappear with age, that heart, experience, and mental toughness matter more than fresh legs. With the Toronto Maple Leafs, Terry had one of the most powerful comebacks in hockey history. At an age when most goalies were retired, he helped lead the Leafs to a Stanley Cup win in 1967. He was 37 years old, beaten, stitched up, and aching, but still a wall in the net. Reporters called it a miracle. Fans were stunned, but to Terry it was just another fight he refused to lose. Even when he was hurting, even when younger goalies were faster and stronger, Terry's mind gave him the edge. He read the game like a book. He stayed calm when others panicked, and that quiet focus, the same focus he had as a kid in Winnipeg, kept him one step ahead. He may have been doubted, dismissed, and passed around, but every time Terry got on the ice, he proved one thing. He was still one of the best. Not because of what his body could do, but because of the fire that never left him. Terry Sawchuk's final season wasn't a farewell tour. It was a slow collapse, one that he tried to fight until the very end. By now, his body was almost done. His joints were worn out. He had gone through multiple surgeries. His ribs ached when he breathed. His hands, once quick and steady, were now shaky. Every movement hurt. But even then, Terry didn't ask to stop. He still showed up, still put on the pads, still stood between the pipes as if nothing was wrong. He wasn't the same goalie. The quickness had faded. The strength was fading too, but he kept playing. Not for records, not for attention, but because hockey was all he knew. It was the one thing that made him feel alive. And when the pain got worse, He just told himself to push a little further, but there came a moment when even Terry couldn't keep going. The pain was too much. The body that carried him through over 20 years in the NHL finally gave out. His last games weren't full of glory. They were quiet, heavy, and hard to watch. He wasn't just battling other teams anymore, he was battling time. Not long after stepping away from the game, Terry's health took a dark turn. A tragic accident with a teammate led to serious internal injuries. He was rushed to the hospital and underwent surgery, but this time, his body couldn't recover. After everything he'd fought through, years of cuts, breaks, painkillers, and silence, Terry's battle was over. He passed away at just 40 years old. His final season wasn't about stats or wins, it was about sacrifice, about what happens when someone gives everything to the game until there's nothing left to give. Terry Sawchuk didn't just end his career, he gave his life to hockey. Watching Terry Sawchuk now isn't just about the records. It's not just the shutouts, the wins, or the Stanley Cups. It's about everything he gave up to make those things happen. The pain he carried, the injuries he hid, the long nights when he couldn't sleep, and the mornings when he still laced up his skates. It's about the cuts on his face that never fully healed, the quiet moments when he battled sadness that no one could see, the way he stood in front of a net, game after game, knowing every shot could break something, but still refusing to back down. Terry didn't play for glory. He played because he loved the game, and sometimes love means sacrifice. He gave more than most athletes ever do. He gave his body, he gave his peace. In the end, he gave his life, and for that, he became more than a goalie. He became a symbol of strength, of heart, of never giving up. But where do you rank him among NHL legends? Let me know in the comments. Do you think anyone else ever gave as much? If stories like this matter to you, if you believe legends like Terry deserve to be remembered, then please consider liking the video. It might seem small, but it helps more than you know. These kinds of stories take hours of research, writing, and editing to get right. And if you want to see more stories told with the same heart and care, subscribing is the best way to make sure they keep coming. Thanks for being here and for keeping hockey's history alive.